Welcome back to the D.H.E show. Today is a business update. If you are new to the show, every month we do a business update on our food company called Switchback Foods. We talk about what we learned, what we didn't learn, what worked, where we're seeing success, and a lot more, really with the goal of helping you on your entrepreneur journey. Learn from us, don't make our mistakes, take what's working and get rid of the rest. So this is November 2023. This is our first Black Friday. It was our first Cyber Monday. Lots of things that we figured out and learned that we didn't know going into this, and we're just excited to share the results with you guys here on this episode. Without further ado, I'm just going to jump in. So here we go. D.H.E show. Take it away, guys.
Welcome back to the D.H.E podcast, where we talk about everything dad, husband, entrepreneur, and a little bit about just ranting about my life and maybe Matt's life a little bit as well. My name is Ole Hebde. I am the co-host with my main man, Matt Adelman, and not main man as in my husband. My friend, my co-founder.
You're turning into me.
I know. I feel like, so on a funny side note, I've got a really good buddy. His name's Ryan. He works at Ryan Financial. He's damn good at 401ks. This is a plug for him. If you need a 401k, call the dude. He's awesome. And every time at a networking event, he'd always go like, Ryan Wallen with Ryan Financial, not named after me. And I was like, every time, now it's just become the shtick. Like, he has to say it. So
yeah,
I always love it when he's like, not named after me. So today, Matt, what are we going to talk? How much fun are we going to have?
We're going to have a lot of fun. We are going to do business update for November 2023. We had some really fun stuff happen last month, and thought it'd be fun. Well, we're doing this every month, right? Because part of our commitment with the show is real, honest, unfiltered, peek behind the curtains of how we're building Switchback, and really everything we talk about is just we're putting it out there. So November 23 business review.
November was a crazy month. Let me just put something out there. Like, Matt always tells me, Ole, just be Ole. So I'm just going to be me. Like, let's just jump back a year and a half ago, and I was like, man, in my wild, bald brain, my mind just went to like, man, I'm going to make so much money so quick, and it's going to be so easy, and people are going to come flocking to my company. And man, digital marketing, I'm an expert, even though I'd never read anything in digital marketing. And I had all these really flawed, really screwed up dreams and expectations that even to this day, I look back and I'm just kind of like, what the fuck was I thinking? It was really, projections, ideas, passion. I definitely fell victim to the being an entrepreneur, and you just sit there and you go like, hey man, this is going to be rosy and it's going to be great. The reason I say that is looking back, November was a huge, like it almost felt like we went to the moon in many regards, but also it didn't necessarily take a whole... It shouldn't have taken us as long as it did to get there. We've now, again, some of our problems we're not going to discuss until we can discuss, but we've had a lot of major issues. And I think it's pretty common for entrepreneurs to face these issues. Yes. Maybe not to the extent that we have in the first year, but they're common.
No, I think it is common. And when you say to the moon, though, I want to make sure that we're not doing millions. We're not even doing tens of thousands. Like we had it's a really small number, but for us, it was the first big step of like, hey, this stuff's working.
The big cool part of that is we saw more organic transactions than we've ever seen in 30 days. The marketing, what we got out of Facebook ad purgatory,
it's probably the back third of the month, yeah.
Yeah, around Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
And so all of a sudden when we got out of purgatory, like we started to see sales come in. And what's cool is we've started to see a lot of reorders come in. And it's a lot of this stuff that, it's small, but it feels, when I say to the moon, it feels like monumental movement compared to where we were before. Yeah. Every day we're seeing multiple orders. Sometimes, Sunday I think was, 15 orders, something like that. Like, we got a lot of orders.
Hold on, you're stealing December's thunder.
Oh shit, that's December. So we're going to jump back. Wipe that away.
So before I go into actual numbers, I think it might be interesting to level set here. So your dad is our CFO.
Yep.
Your dad's background is, how big was the company that he was running?
When he retired, just shy of $5 billion in revenue.
Okay, so massive company. My background is Target and Albertsons and massive grocery stores. Like your dad and I are very used to dealing in hundreds of millions of dollars. But for whatever reason, when I joined this, not only this, but one of the things I tried to launch about a year and a half ago, I was very afraid to spend money to make money. Like I've been very worried about budgets and worried about sales not coming in. So with that as the backdrop, we're brand new, relatively. How is it that you or your dad or whoever it is, how have you guys been able to comfortably just be like, we got to spend money? We got to spend money to make money.
Well,
even though there's not revenue coming in to cover it.
My dad is a unique perspective. He's not really, he was a CFO, but I wouldn't really classify him. Like if you met him, you wouldn't think CFO. My dad's got a lot of good one-liners, and some of those came from the guy he worked for. Other of those I think are original. But at the end of the day, I think it boils down to, if you got a good idea and you got a proven idea, which I think we have we have a proven idea. We have an idea that when people try it, they are going to fall in love with it. You got to spend money to get out there. And so my dad had a line, and I think it's from the guy he worked for many years, but it was you're not going to save your way out of this. There are some problems you save your way out of. There are some problems you spend your way out of. We're going to spend our way out of this. And that's what we have to do, right? We have to build brand awareness. Hand-to-hand combat doesn't really exist in the space we're trying to play in. You know, if we made 100 units, hand-to-hand combat makes sense. When you're trying to sell thousands of units, hand-to-hand combat no longer becomes a feasible thing. The other thing I think, when I look at my relation with my dad, I'm used to bull in China shop, Oli. I'm going to tell you, and if you doubt me, you're an idiot. I'm always right. My dad doesn't allow me to get away with that, and he challenges everything, as does my brilliant brothers and my sister. They all challenge me on all of my comments and assumptions, which is totally fair and totally legitimate, and thank God they do. I think that was a big piece of it. My dad has always challenged me. So when it comes to spending money, he challenged my assumptions. Why is this going to work? How is this going to work? But he also understands we're not trying to play peewee ball. We're trying to play in the major leagues. We have a product that will be a major market brand within the next 3 to 5 years. Now,
it sounds so simple when you say that, but if you're a new entrepreneur listening to the show, I think you understand where I'm coming from and why this is such an important thing. You have to believe in the product enough so that you're willing to put money and skin in the game, and you have to surround yourself with people that are going to give you good advice to make sure that your money you're spending and working on is going to return for you. We talked about that in the last business update, where we did get with an agency to help us earlier this summer, so summer of 2023. We spent a lot of money, but the tactics just weren't the right tactics to drive our product. Now, fast forward 3 months later, and we're spending money again with a different agency, but we're way more mindful and way more strategic about how we're spending it this time. And November is now, we actually have results to talk about.
That night, I think, Matt, the other piece that I said to the guys having coffee with this morning is, I don't take what you say as verbatim anymore. Being in sales for my entire life, right? I was always right, you were always wrong. I think I've alluded to that. Thank God for a 12-step program where I've learned that's not actually the case, and that's how addictions develop. But I look at it and I go, I was so trusting of people because I thought what people said was what they were going to do. And what I've just come to realize is, if you're starting a business, if you're starting to build something, it's your money. You have every right to be a dickhead to the people that are across the table telling you what they can do. Question them, question them, question them, question them. Do not just roll over. I don't care if it's your best friend, if it's your brother, if it's question them. Because what I have discovered is you will be taken advantage of in business by anybody and everybody that can, because they're going to see you as, oh, you got a checkbook? Oh, yeah, we'll charge you for that. We'll do this. We can do that. Do not just believe what people say verbatim. Challenge them.
Yep. So here's where we ended for the month of November. Now, I'm just talking Shopify sales here. Amazon's a different beast. We're on Amazon as well. Amazon was very similar here, but Amazon's a weird thing. We'll do a unique episode on Amazon itself and how we're doing there. But it's almost out of your control until you get to a certain point. Like, you can run keyword ads and that sort of stuff, but you got to get reviews. Like, you got to get more traction and momentum. That just takes a lot more time there. Versus Shopify, it's your destiny. You can put out as many ads as you want on as many social platforms and whatever. And so it's a different channel. So we finished November 2023, total sales $2,137 for the month. That's up 40% versus October. But we were sort of handicapped, like we were saying, because we were limited to $50 a day on Facebook in ad spend until almost Thanksgiving. And with Facebook, for those that don't know, Facebook doesn't really get good at advertising until you're converting about 50 people a week. And to convert 50 people a week takes a lot more than $50 a day.
And it takes a lot more time than what anybody's going to tell you. If any ad agency tells you they're going to convert 50 people a week within a month or 2 months or 3 months, they're full of shit. Can it happen? Sure. Just like you can win the lottery, you can win the Powerball. But it takes time, people. And I think that's the piece that I didn't give it enough credit for, was how much time it takes to build the brand the right way. You can cut corners, you can do crazy stuff. But if you want to build a brand with equity, this stuff takes a lot longer than where you could ever possibly think.
Yeah. So when we break down that $2,137, $1,700, so a very large percentage came from just brand new first-time buyers or people who came back to the website. Maybe they bought again, but they were physically going to the website to purchase. I think it's encouraging. We had $446 in subscriptions. So that's, roughly 20% of our total sales came from recurring subscriptions. That, I think, is going to be key as we go forward. How big can we build subscriptions? And how long will people stay on subscription?
Well, I know it's a December item, but the last 15 orders, probably 50% of them been subscription orders. I mean, people are buying the product, love the product. They love not thinking about how the product's going to show up in their pantry.
Yeah. So again, this is just transparency so you guys understand what it's like to build an e-com business. We had a little over 4,000 unique online store sessions. So call it 4,000 people that came to our Shopify page. That number is up 100% versus the prior month. So the prior month we had about 2,000. So 4,000 people came to our website. We converted 0.7%, which is really low. We need to get that number way higher. But 4,000 people, ultimately generate a little over $2,000 in sales.
Do you think if I take a picture of me shirtless and show my dad bod, that'll convert more people on our website?
I could, drink Switchback, and you can have this too.
I've been thinking about doing that campaign.
No,
you don't get this. You don't get this dad bod by eating spinach and kale salads. You get it by drinking smoothies.
Yeah.
And eating copious amounts of Chinese food.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's more the Chinese food, and yeah.
And it's the fact that my co-founder here is just every day, where are we going to lunch today? Where are we going to lunch? I'm like, I'm trying to eat healthy. He's like, don't eat healthy.
Hey, cut me a break. All right, I'm going in numbers here, Oli. You're getting me off my bandwagon. We saw last month, we are starting to figure out product mix. If anyone's starting out here, or even if you've been in business for a long time, you got something to sell, right? I think people overcomplicate product mix way too much. They want to launch too many things, too fast, too broad. They want to be everything to everyone right away. And the problem with that is your marketing gets diluted when you have to talk about lots and lots and lots of different stuff. Or there's this thing called choice fatigue. It's a known psychological thing. We deal with it a lot in the retail space and brick and mortar actual grocery stores. The more choices you put in front of somebody, the more fatigued their mind gets, and the less likely they are to take action.
What book, Matt, was it where they talked about? I swear I read a book not that long ago, and they talked about that. I think it's Bed Bath & Beyond. I don't think they exist anymore. If they do,
they're bankrupt.
Yeah,
as of right now.
But they had I can't remember what book it was, but they talked about I think they had 90 pizza cutters, or not 9. Yeah, it was 90 pizza cutters. 90 is something, and their sales were abysmal. They barely sold anything.
It's too much.
And they went through and they narrowed it down to 5, and sales went up a couple 1,000% in the first month. And well, that's weird. We thought we were getting think about Costco. You don't have an abundance of choice in Costco. There's a lot of items, but there's not. You don't get fatigued walking around Costco looking at products. So it is really interesting. You're spot on. It's something that if you're launching a business, that was one of the best pieces of advice I got from anybody when I was starting was don't launch with too many SKUs.
And what's interesting when we look at our results is roughly 75% of our volume is through the variety pack, which is 2 items. There's a 7-pack or 7 count variety pack and a 21. And it's kind of mixed between the two of those, which is encouraging. But nearly every buyer who comes in for the first time buys a variety pack. Nobody buys the flavors to start.
Not that I've seen.
Which I honestly didn't know how that was going to shake out. I thought variety pack would be maybe the second or the third best item. I thought flavors would be the number one place, but we're seeing that not to be the case. So cool learning there. And it's more, what's cool about understanding your product mix and how it's moving is then when we think about marketing, we can start to craft our message a little different. So, 2 months from now, maybe our marketing is all about variety packs because everyone's coming in and we just want to, hit them over the head even more with it. But when we send out follow-up emails and some of our other tactics after the initial into the website, maybe we follow up with flavors. Maybe it's, hey, what was your favorite flavor? What did you like most? Oh, did you know we have a 7-pack of just that or 21? You know what I mean? It's more add-on opportunities after.
Yep.
That was interesting to see. And then November was the first month where we started seeing advertising campaigns really start to convert. So of the $2,100 that we saw in sales, for 700 of that came directly from marketing, primarily from Facebook.
What shocked me is, and even last night as I was looking over some of the marketing stuff that our firm sent us, I would have just thought this would be a diehard Instagram play. And I think this is the tough piece for me to get over is Facebook is the dominant driver of sales. Instagram, we're getting them, but it's not even remotely close to what we get from Facebook. And I kept saying to Matt, I'm like, who the hell uses Facebook, man? And I'm back on it because I have to have a corporate account, but it is a wild thing to see the prevalence of Facebook versus Instagram, which is also interesting. On a side note, listen to a marketing podcast, Matt, while I was out biking, and it was 3 Brits talking about 3 marketing gurus talking about what platform to use to build a brand. What are the 3? What's the number one platform they say to build a brand?
How old were these guys?
No idea. One of the guys has a 21-year-old daughter, so
I'm assuming they said TikTok, Facebook.
Didn't even come in the top 5.
YouTube, Google,
LinkedIn.
Whoa, what kind of brand? B2B or direct-to-consumer product?
All the above. They said LinkedIn is one of the most powerful tools you can use.
It is for B2B. I don't think for...
Facebook was number 2. And YouTube, they said, but if you use YouTube, the caveat was you got to use all 3 of them. If you're going to use all 3, but you got to be strategic.
Yeah.
Like, I kind of want to send the guys a note and be like, hey, man, check out my sweet-ass LinkedIn because you guys are going to scoff at me. Like, that's the interesting piece. Pretty much all the posts that I see on LinkedIn, they rip apart. So like, there's pointless.
To that point, and I think I can't wait to do December's recap because we're only a few days into December, and we're seeing incredible results. But you posted on LinkedIn yesterday. You posted a video of you taking a shaker bottle and just making a smoothie. Like, hey, this is how Dad makes a Switchback. You put that on LinkedIn, and like, I'm not kidding you. 25 minutes later, you had somebody from LinkedIn who's a friend of yours that must have saw it or a follow on LinkedIn and bought. It's like, oh, that was free marketing, and it converted sales.
One of the things, I mean, this is a November business update, and this will be an update for the rest of my life. I was very much always of the belief, and I don't know why, of like, you're not famous, so just sit down, shut up, and don't talk. Nobody cares about you. And not that I don't care about other people. That was an inwardly directed...
Imposter syndrome.
And so it takes a lot of work for me to be like, yeah, man, like I should post on LinkedIn every day and I should put my thoughts out there. I take flack from people for some of my thoughts, but as you said to me, Matt, one day, like, good. It means they're paying attention to you and they're listening. And like, it's going to drive engagement. But
yeah,
I think that's the thing to remember too. If you are out there building a brand or you're going to build a company, remember, it's your company, man or gal. Say what you want. Do what you want.
Yeah.
Who gives a shit what the trolls have to say?
I was listening to a different podcast last week. It's called the Innovation and Leadership Podcast. Jess Larson is the guy that hosts it. If you're into innovation and leadership, I mean, it is a very, very good podcast, and he gets hugely successful multi-billion-dollar company CEOs and founders to come on and talk about what they learned. He had a guy on last week who Wealthfront. Are you familiar with that? Wealthfront was a fund that was started in, I think, 2012, and it was the whole robo investing. So they were the first group to do like tax advantaged accounts through automatic rebalancing and all that shit that happens with technology nowadays. You used to have a really good financial guy to do that, but they only did that for people who were, had millions of dollars, right? And so this group's point was, we're going to bring that to the masses, and they did, and it's huge. It's a huge company now. So this guy was the CEO of that. Before that, he was a executive at LinkedIn. Many years ago. Before that, he was at Apple. Like, that's where he started as an engineer, right? So he's been all over the place. But why I bring it up is they were talking about when this guy, I forget his name, but when he was building Wealthfront, one of the ideas was, I'm going to be out there talking as a CEO all the time. I'm building my brand. I'm building this company. I'm getting my name out there. And he said the same thing you did, except if it is a strategic point for you to not be out there. But you got to make that differentiation. You need to choose, I'm not going to be in the spotlight because it benefits me. So the example he gave was LinkedIn. LinkedIn didn't want to build in public because it was so new, right? And it would be really easy to copy them. It was just a website at the time. It wasn't a brand. So totally makes sense to not be on social versus most other companies, like you absolutely should be on social. But you need to have a reason, one way or the other.
It makes a lot of sense. I mean, there's a strategic reason not to be on certain websites and a reason to be on others. I think that the challenge too, and we can jump back into the everything else, but the challenge that I run into, Matt, this is there's a lot of social media platforms. It's overwhelming. We don't have a team of social media people. So knowing what to post, where to post it, how to post it, it's some overwhelming shit. And I don't do well when I'm overwhelmed, so then I just panic and I don't do anything. So thankfully, Matt's got me just focus on LinkedIn, put a post out there. I'm dabbling in a little bit of Facebook, just trying to get used to it.
Yeah.
Instagram's not really my cup of tea, if I got to be honest. I don't get any enjoyment out of just posting a picture and moving on. So
yeah, and Oli's talking about his personal brand, just for clarification. But even as a business, you're right, you can only do so much with the resources you have. So if you are going to try to be everywhere, good luck. Because if you're mediocre and crappy everywhere, it's not gonna get you anything you want. Versus if you pick a couple and get really good at those first, you're gonna get good and get good results. So even business, personal branding, and that's not just digital marketing. That's true of any marketing anywhere. Right, if you've only got so much money to spend, do you really want to try to spread it across everywhere and every platform and just be kind of okay? Or do you want to be strategic and really get good at a certain one or two of them, right?
It's amazing. I mean, you look at the people, even the influencers we work with,
they're
not
only on one
influencers.
platform.
They all have one platform, or maybe it's 1.5 platforms.
Yeah.
But nobody's on, these people are not doing 5 platforms. They have their platform, they know where they're making money, they know what they're doing. And that'd be the piece of advice. So, Matt, what else do you want to talk about? Because this business update, we just really got off course talking about marketing.
No, I think the only other piece that I think is interesting to call out, you mentioned it, we've got user-generated content, UGC, just started flowing the end of the month. We might have actually saw one sale from that immediately right away.
I think we've actually seen more than one sale. I think there's a couple others that we could probably attribute to those UGC. That's an interesting thing to me, though. I'm really curious to see in 10 years what that looks like, just because I feel like you can't tie a lot of this stuff back to an influencer.
Yeah. It's part of why you see so many influencers. If you click on their link trees and their bios, it's whatever products they're pushing, but it's their own affiliate code or their own unique website that you can go to.
We did. I didn't notice you created a code for an influencer, get a free shirt if you use that really wild code that you created.
I did?
There's a code in our Shopify for a free shirt. And I'm guessing it's tagged in. Someone's used it. Oh. I don't know who used it. Someone used it.
I wonder if that was a test from the agency when they set the website up.
Oh, maybe. Maybe someone's rocking a free Switchback shirt.
But to that point, you can have unique codes and you can have things that do try to tie back to specific people. But Either way, we stood that up. I'm excited to see where it goes because we've got some really cool partnerships coming up here in the next month or two. And then the only last piece I want to talk about, this is for someone, again, who maybe you don't have the budget, but you're really starting to build an email list or some sort of like way to capture people that are in your network that you want to reach out to. We had our first newsletter go out at the end of November. We don't have a big email list at all. It's tiny. Although we've added 200 people in the last week. I know.
Holy shit.
I just looked at it today. I was like, Jesus, when did we get that many people?
And you know what the funny part is? We worked with a company earlier this year that got us like 4 emails.
Yeah, it was whatever.
So
different conversation. But our email, so we sent it out at the end of November. We had 220 people that opened it. So of our, I think we have 400 some when we sent this out. So we had like 49.9% open rate. Not great. Not terrible, not great. We only had 2% of those people actually click a link, which none of the links were to our website. Our newsletter is literally provide value to people. Like it's 5 things that we think are interesting. It's not selling Switchback. It's not touting the brand. It's not please come by. It's none of that. It's
5 interesting things.
5 interesting things. It's a book that we like, a podcast we heard. It's a cool gadget that we bought that we are not affiliated with, right? Like it's just 5 simple things. That email generated 2 sales though. So of the 220 people we sent it to, 2 people actually bought. That cost us $0. It was free. Just like your LinkedIn post, $0, it was free.
And the cool part about that is when I look at emails, I like emails where people just throw me some random stuff and I get to see their perspective. When I get just pure marketing emails, it's just delete. Right. When I get an email where someone's like, hey, these are the 5 cool things in our life, I usually open them. And like I've seen it from other people. And I love them. Like, oh, that's really cool. Until those people get to such a size where they're out of touch with what the average person actually needs or wants. And then I'm like, okay, like move on. But yeah, it is, the power of email marketing blows my mind, which reminds me we should probably go work on our next newsletter, eh?
I already sent it to you.
I know, I saw that.
Yeah. Yeah, so overall, we already said it a couple of times. Like it's starting to click. And I can't wait to do December's because again, it's really starting to click already. Black Friday happened, Cyber Monday, Thanksgiving, like all of that was in November. We didn't do anything special for any of those. We did a little bit on Amazon, but nothing really special there. And I think that probably hurt us, honestly, because we didn't do anything special and everyone is so deal focused. Doesn't really matter because we're banking on, a few months from now having a better month. But there's some noise in the numbers, I guess, is my point. Marketing spend wasn't there. And
we have a tagline, all killer, no filler. And when we say all killer, it means we have the most expensive, I would argue with anybody in the country for a CPG product, shelf stable food. We may have the most expensive product in the category. I mean, we do have the most expensive product in terms of like raw ingredient costs. And so when it comes to like Black Friday and discounts, there's a reason why we don't do enormous discounts. Because we have a freaking expensive product that we can't really discount. Otherwise, we lose money. We don't exist. So I think that's another thing is like, if you're starting a brand, you're like, I'm going to discount the hell out of this. You got 1 or 2 options.
I'm going to challenge you a little bit on that, though.
What?
How much, like, Truff hot sauce? Do you know how much that shit costs?
What?
Truff hot sauce?
Are they a fruit and vegetable packet or fruit and vegetable in the fruit and vegetable category?
No, but it's a very, very expensive hot sauce. Maybe the most expensive product in their category, and they still are able to do stuff. I hear what you're saying, but
they're established though. We're not established. Like when you're established, you're doing millions of dollars in sales. It's okay if you lose $100,000 in a month discounting the product. But if you're trying to get out, if you're trying to build a business, like business goes into business.
So you're saying it's more a factor of we're brand new, we're not discounting yet.
That's a massive piece of it. We don't have the scale. Those guys, I guarantee, have the scale, and so you can play around with that stuff. My point is, we try not to discount the product because number one, we don't have an enormous margin in it that we can just artificially mark up. Like you look at the supplement space, and it's like buy it for $129, and then like, oh, cool, you bought it on subscription, you get it for $99. You're like. So are you just screwing the one-time buyer, or are you just losing a bunch of money? Like, you know what I mean? We don't have that. We're trying to be transparent with our customers.
Yeah.
We'll give you a first-time discount. we'll give you a subscription discount, but we don't have a lot of margin to play around with, folks.
Right. But it also, I don't want people to hear that and go, oh, it's expensive, I can't afford it, because it is. We've done the comparison. It's basically, if you're into smoothies and want fruits and vegetables, it's almost the same price as buying fruits and veggies at a store and making a smoothie as buying ours. Like the equivalent amount of fruits and veggies in each one.
I was in Chicago O'Hare last week, and there's like a smoothie restaurant bar thing. And I walked up and I was like, well, I wonder how much these smoothies cost.
Oh, good Lord.
And it was $9 for a standard smoothie that was just fruit. It was $9.90. And then you can get more expensive with them. But I was looking at it, and it was like, there's no way you can get that many calories in that. So like they add a bunch of sugar and a bunch of other things. But I mean, when you look at bang for the buck, there's no better product in the category, bang for the buck wise, than what we put in. I mean, where else do you get 4.5 cups of vegetables and fruit? I mean, I've got 4.5 cups of vegetables in the refrigerator right back here right now for my lunch. Those aren't cheap, and dude, it's tough to eat 4.5 cups of vegetables. Anyway, I'm just rambling on.
You're rambling.
Matthew, carry it away.
Those are the highlights. I think it more to come. And as we get bigger and better, and as we perfect or craft what we're doing, we'll be able to test a few more things and try some different channels. So, stay tuned to this update, because every month we'll come in with what did we learn, what was the cool thing, like what are we seeing out there, and build this damn thing. If one ask, right, if you're listening to the show and you've got a tip or a trick or something we didn't talk about, I'd love to hear from you guys. Drop a comment, let us know. Or if you've seen our marketing and you like some of it or don't like some of it, we'd love your feedback there too. So let's interact and engage.
I'm going to throw one more thing out there. If you're listening to this, you're building a business or you're thinking about starting a business, you are awesome. Go do it and go kick some ass and reach out to mentors, friends, reach out to us. I will share as much knowledge as I can. I'm a huge believer in owning your own business. I'm a huge believer in starting your own thing. And I realize it's not for everybody, but if that's you, find your circle, find your tribe, and go out there and just do it and have fun. You don't need to go 0 to hero. Start small. Enjoy it. And that's the biggest piece. My final piece of advice, enjoy the process. Because the process, if we were to do $1 million next month, which we're definitely not going to, but if we did, I don't know if I would appreciate the process as much as I do right now of like how every day is a battle, every day is a struggle. And yeah, it's wild. I got some stuff for the December update, but we'll chat about that later.
Cool. Thanks, everyone. And until next time, take care. See ya.